Okay, it's January, what's today?
17th.
17th, 2017.
Right,
Yeah.
2017.
And I'm sitting here with Michael and Sherry. I'm sitting here with Mommy and Daddy. I'm sitting here with Bubbe and Zaidy. And we're going to get some history and some information, because this way when all of you have questions, well, you'll have it right on tape. Okay, let's start.
Let's go.
Okay, let's go.
GPS.
And you can take turns answering. I want both of you to answer the questions, but you could take turns. First question, where are your parents from?
Which parents?
Your parents.
My parents are from Czechoslovakia, what was Austria-Hungary, and after World War I it was Czechoslovakia. But when they were there, it was Austria-Hungary.
And when did they come to the United
I would
States?
say at the turn of the century, and maybe the early 1900s, 1901, between 1900 and 1903.
They didn't come together, did they?
No,
How did they meet?
they knew each other from Europe.
Okay, Mommy, where did your parents come
From
from?
Galicia. And they both came from the same town. I don't know the name of it. I really have up north some more information. I'll have to fill it in.
Okay.
And
When did they come?
They both were babies when they came. They were like 3 years old, 2, 4, 3, 4.
And how did they meet?
Their parents knew each other. And I really don't know how they met, actually. But I know the parents knew each other.
So both sets of your grandparents knew each other.
Right.
Okay. And Daddy, I didn't know when I was younger that you knew your grandmother, Pearl.
Right.
And when I love Ariel's album. It's one of my favorite things when she made that family tree. And that's when I found out that you knew your grandmother and that her name was Pearl Goldstein.
Right.
So I learned a bit of my history.
We have a picture on the apartment.
Okay. What are some of the memories of your childhood?
Oh, yeah. I didn't realize it, but it was apparently it was a very hard childhood. When you're a child, you don't realize this. And I remember playing like any other children. And when I got to be 14 or 15, it's the first when I realized that that's when I went to work. But prior to that, I went to school like everybody else, and
You walked uphill both ways?
I walked up the hill both ways.
In Scranton.
In Scranton, that was in Scranton. And when I came to New York, I first realized how cruel kids were. When I was going to the yeshiva, they used to make fun of me the way I pronounced the words, because I was from Pennsylvania, and I had a little bit of an accent from Pennsylvania. And they laughed at me. They laughed at the way I said orange, and they laughed the way I said Napoleon, and maybe a few other things.
And people still detect a slight accent.
Well, you don't have a New York accent.
Right.
Do you have any good memories of your childhood? Happy memories?
I wouldn't say they were good memories. I mean, I remember playing. I mean, we were poor. We're poor. I didn't have like you had. I made my own toys. Sometimes I had a little truck. Camp I didn't go to. I didn't realize that people were going to camp even then, so I didn't miss it.
But you almost went to camp.
That was when I came to New York. I was 14.
Oh, right.
And so when I almost went to camp, somebody told my mother that was the third trip that the bedding is already dirty, so I couldn't go to camp.
And what's the story? Tell the story about the truck.
Oh, the story of the truck. I was about a year and a half old, and my father had a truck. Truck was only also about a year old. It was the 1929 International truck, Harvester truck, and I got into the truck. And we lived. Ricky, you remember the house? We lived on a hill, and Uncle Berner got in the truck with me. He was about 3 and a half, or a little over 3, and I must have touched something in the truck, and the truck started to roll down the hill. So the neighbors see this, and they run into the house to tell my parents. So they go, everybody's running down the street after the truck until the truck turned over on its side. And how the both of us came out alive, I don't know, but we both were okay.
You're very
But that's the
lucky.
famous story. Everybody remembers that story.
That's it. Mommy, what are some of the memories of your childhood?
Well, my childhood was not so happy either. It's going to sound like a sob story here. You know, I grew up with, grandma was sick from the day I was born. She was bedridden for the first 2 years. Of course, I don't remember that. But housekeepers brought me up for the first few years. And she was always in pain. Her hands were always crippled, they were bent. It was hard for her to do things, but the nice, so that she was always there for me. When she used to feel bad that she didn't go shopping with me or do other things, so I would always tell her, but when I come home from school, you're there. If I came home for lunch, she was there and always with my lunch and told me about the soap operas from the day before, the night before when I had to go to sleep.
Oh, they had soap operas then.
Yeah, so she would tell on radio, and she would tell me what happened when I had to go to sleep. So, I had that. That was like better really because I had her rather than, for other things, shopping. And, and then Aunt Ruthie was in the house, and that was sometimes also difficult. So, and also I lived where I lived in Crown Heights, which is now so much from neighborhood. It wasn't as I was. Well, but when I was growing up, I didn't have religious friends, so they would all go till I was about 12 or 14. So they would go to the movies on Shabbos. And on Sunday, I had nobody to go to the movies with. So I never went to very many movies, as I do not now. So, it was hard. And then when I got to be 12, 13, 14, I made friends with religious girls. And so that changed. So, there was a lot of sadness. People, even Daddy says, the good old days, and I don't look back at my childhood being the good old days. I think I'm living now in the good old days, the good new days.
Well, I just want you both to know that Sherry and Michael and I look at our childhood as the good old days. We have many happy memories.
Oh, we're happy about that. That's good. We tried. We really did.
What was it like when you heard about the vote on the State of Israel?
1948, I remember it very clearly, how especially the Jewish people, they were extremely ecstatic. There's a State of Israel, and there was a place for Jews to be, communities for Jews, especially in Israel. And of course then the war started, and nobody, at least not me, expected Israel to win the war. We had organizations that we collected money, and I used to go on the subway with a pushka or a tin can, around collecting money from people. It was a little bit embarrassing, but we did it. I did it with my friends. We did it. And we used to train for defensive training. The Beitor organization, I was part of that organization, and Grandma was not too happy about that because she thought I was going to get into trouble.
Was it like anything like the JDL?
This was before the JDL.
Right,
Yeah, it was like something like the JDL. Then I got involved in something more right-wing than that, the Lehi organization, which was, there was the Irgun, and this was more to the right than even the Irgun Tzvi Leumi. And then I was really getting into trouble with my brothers. They would tell me I'm going to end up in jail. I used to wear a khaki shirt with pants. We used to go to meetings, marching meetings. This is maybe in the years 1947, 1948. And when the war was over, of course, everybody was happy.
Mommy, what are your memories?
I want to go back to my childhood and talk a little bit more about the family. I said about Aunt Ruthie, and that was a sadness. That was a very sad part of my early years also, that I didn't have siblings. And I think that's why I'm so anxious to keep you three close together. Because I think I miss that, you know. Aunt Ruthie was my sister, but it wasn't the normal sibling relationship. And I miss that. I miss that a lot. Even, you know, today people come here and they have their sisters or sister-in-laws or what, and, you know, I miss that. And I think one of the things that attracted me to Daddy maybe, was the fact that he came from a large family. That I felt, you know, I had more people to, you know, to take that kind of place, which of course it never did. Anyway, you want to talk about Israel?
I want to talk about I'll tell you the couple of the topics you could talk about it.
I'm sorry?
So I'll tell you a couple of things related the state of Israel, what it was like relating to that, what it was like being a Jew living in the United States during World War II.
Well, as far as Israel, I really was not so involved. I'm much more involved in current events and world events, everything that I am now. I think all the years living with Daddy, I think got me so, you know, very, very involved. So, I mean, I remember I belonged to the Mizrahi Buds, and I mean, also J&F, we collect money, and but I don't think I have such strong memories of it as Daddy. Living as a Jew was also, as I was starting to say about my friends not having from friends, and at an early age, and again, because my parents didn't take me to the movies. I just remember that going to the movies became such a big thing with me. So living as a Jew, it was difficult, and when Daddy and I had to move to buy a house, it was very important